he is popularly known as Malam, but his name is Alhaji Dewu. He's very popular. He's a very senior person in Ahmadu Bello University. And he is such a kind man. Because many people who went to school in Samaru, particularly from the south, he used to feed, his house was open, he used to feed everybody, anybody who came, there was food for you to eat, there was a piece of meat for you to eat, there was water for you to drink. That's the kind of person he was, and he was like a father to us. So one day he just called me, say, why do I want to go to SBS? I'm already working in the bank. Why don't I go and do banking? Go and do banking so that you're already in the line, you're already in the financial. Why don't you just follow that? He instructed me. You know, back then, you can mind your neighbor's child. It didn't matter. He didn't take my father's permission. He gave me those instructions, and I'm glad today that I followed that instruction. Okay, you know, earlier I told you that when my father left the police, he got a job in Zaria, in Samaru in the university. And that meant that all of us moved to Samaru, Zaria. I just finished my WIAC then, and I got a job while waiting for admission. Admission finished that year. I didn't get admitted. 77. So the first week of 78, I got a job in the bank. Today's First Bank used to be Standard Bank. I got a job in Standard Bank just across from the university in Samaru. And it was an exciting job. No computers then. Everything was manual. We counted money, thousands, and I think the highest denomination then was, I think, 5 or 10 naira. So you count loads and loads and loads of money manually. And by then, I became fast fingers because I know what you do. You have to check ledgers, and sometimes you are in the bank till very late in the evening because everything has to balance daily before you left the bank. And it was, while I was enjoying the bank work, my mind was still in getting back to school because, like I said earlier, in the environment then, for young people, if you are not a student, you don't really you are not looked at as anything. And when in the social circuit, students were happening, back then, Zaria was home to nearly everybody. In fact, it was home to everybody. People, it didn't matter where you came from, Zaria was home. Samaru, the university environment was home. Samaru was home to many, so the social circuit was quite lively back then. And something happened. There was a neighbor that we had. I will say his name because he is popularly known as Malam, but his name is Alhaji Dewu. He's very popular. He's a very senior person in Ahmadu Bello University. And he is such a kind man because many people who went to school in Samaru, particularly from the south, He used to feed, his house was open. He used to feed everybody, anybody who came. There was food for you to eat. There was a piece of meat for you to eat. There was water for you to drink. That's the kind of person he was. And he was like a father to us. So one day he just called me, he asked me, he said, look, I'm friends with his children. His children are students. They are in the university. And very soon, when they graduate, they will leave you here, and they may not be your friends again, not because they don't want to be, but they won't just be around. So I told him, I said, yes, I want to. I also have been applying, but I wasn't getting. So I said, why do I want to go to SBS? I'm already working in the bank. Why don't I go and do banking? Go and do banking so that you're already in the line, you're already in the financial. Why don't you just follow that? And that's so he instructed me. You know, back then, you can mind your neighbor's child. It didn't matter. He didn't take my father's permission. He gave me those instructions. And I'm glad today that I followed that instruction, because I went and bought form. But banking was Diploma. And I looked that time, Diploma, it was, we used to consider Diploma for senior people who are already working. They didn't have they didn't have much education, so they came back. But I obeyed that instruction because it began to make sense to me. And then I applied for banking. I didn't get. Instead, I didn't go back to tell him. So at another time, I think he came into the banking hall and he said, I asked you to do something. I said, I didn't get admitted. So he didn't say anything. I think a day or two later, he just came and brought an admission letter to me. He said, go and register. So I had to resign from the bank. The bank didn't want to let me go, but my mind was always to, I wanted to become a student. So I went. The admission wasn't for banking. The admission was for insurance. And insurance, what I knew about insurance was that somebody from British America used to come and collect money from my father when we were much, much younger. That's all I knew about insurance. So he said that just go and start. When you are in part 2, you can change, because in part 1, everybody, accounting, insurance, and banking, we do many courses together. In your part 2, you can change. You can go and specialize. So I said, okay. And we did part 1, I passed to part 2, and I had already applied. I'd applied to change to banking. While waiting, the registrar then, one Mr. Chimugumaha, I remember him because he was my customer in the bank, he told me that I should be attending class so that I don't miss out. In case my admission, in case my change was delayed or something happens. And destiny will have it. The first class I attended for insurance was law relating to insurance, and I fell in love with the course. I remember it was one tall Indian lady who taught that class. I just said, no, I think this is what I ought to be doing, not banking. So I went and withdrew my change of course. And here am I today as a fellow of the Council of Insurance Brokers in Nigeria. So continue to stay tuned. The story is going to continue. We're going deeper, and more interesting things are coming ahead in my life that will interest you as well. Thank you.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, in the course of this series, we've been posting you will remember I always use the word or the words destiny helper. Somehow, in the life of all of us, in the lives of all of us, God will send a helper, somebody who just wants to help you, not because of any gain that he'll get out of it. When Dr. Labi testified, you remember a certain Mrs. McDonald, that became the destiny helper. And his customer, when he was a banker, who insisted I should go to school, destiny helpers. Today, you are hearing, again from the mouth of David Akubo, a certain Malam, whose house was opposite ABU, Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria, Samaru, the main campus. Malam, Alhaji Dewu, just a neighbor to his father, insisted the man is not from Kogi State like himself, but he insisted that David should go. He went and got the admission for him. Nigeria was a country that time. Oh. Nigeria was a country that time. Man went out of his way just to help a young man become somebody in life. That insurance is what David has done all his life. Destiny helpers. Know that God is interested in you. As you're listening to me now, whoever you are, God is interested in you. God will send somebody to help you if you acknowledge him. But even that, the mercy of God is over all his works. David didn't know God at that time. Remember, he was a barracks boy. Barracks boy means you have put your hand into things you're not supposed to know too early in life. Now, he said his story continues. You will hear him. Stay with us. Again, let me ask you to subscribe to this channel and send these clips to your friends. Tell them there's a new storyline coming out that they should listen. And God will do something in their own lives too. Thank you for tuning in today. God bless you.